Hello, this is Jessie Rat of Jessie at Home, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make square one for the snowflake throw from redheart.com. I am the designer of the snowflake throw from redheart.com. I am using the yarn and the hook that's called for in the pattern. So if you look at that pattern, you can find all the information you need. The pattern is linked in the text that goes along with this video. Okay, and it's also, of course, on redheart.com. For square number one, we're going to start off with a chain 4 and join those with a slip stitch. So let's go ahead and get that going. And the part that I am doing in this white is always done in white. The color that changes is the other color, which today we're using this this pink color here. So we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, join with a slip stitch to form a ring. Okay, now for round 1, we chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 11 double crochet into the ring. Now when I do that, I work over top of this starting tail, the tail from the beginning of my yarn. That way I've started to weave it in already, and also I can pull it tight later to close the hole in the center of the square if I don't want a big hole in the center of the square. So 11 double crochets. 1, 2, 11. We've done our 11 double crochet, and now we're going to slip stitch to the top of the chain 3. So grab the top of your chain 3, slip stitch into that, and that forms our ring. Okay, or that forms our first round. And you can count the stitches if you would like. The chain 3 counted as your first double crochet, and then we put 11 more double crochet into the ring, and there should be 12 stitches. Okay, and like I said, because I worked over top of this tail, I could now pull the tail and it tightens up the hole in the center if that's something I want to do, like when I'm weaving in my ends and everything. Right? So now to finish round 1, we're actually going to pull this loop kind of long so that it doesn't get, none of our work gets pulled out when we start the next round in the next color. And we leave the white loops always get left in the front of the work. Now to start round 2, you need your next color. Okay, we're going to refer to it as our second color, and we are going to put a slip stitch on. So we get a loop on there, not a slip stitch, sorry, slip knot. For round 2, which is the bottom layer, is what they call that, we're going to join our second color of our yarn with a slip stitch in the next stitch. So here is where we joined. We're going to put our hook into the next stitch and just make a slip stitch, and that's how we're going to attach this color. Now we are going to chain 3 and place 2 double crochet into that same stitch. Now we are going to chain 1, skip a stitch, and 3 double crochet into the next stitch 5 times. So that's chain 1, skip a stitch, 3 double crochet into the next stitch. And again, chain 1, skip a stitch, 3 double crochet into the next stitch. So this is the second time we've done that. Okay, so now we've done it twice. We need to do that 5 times. We've completed that 5th chain 1, skip 1, 3 double crochet into the next stitch, and now we have to do a last chain 1, and we have to join to the top of the beginning chain 3. Now here's a point where I think some people might be getting confused, it does clearly state to keep the loop from color A in the front of your work. When you make this join, before you do that, you also need to make sure that the tail of color A is in front of your work. Otherwise, you're going to run into a little snag when you start to work the next round using color A again. So we've made this last chain one, and now we're going to slip stitch to the top of our beginning chain 3. Okay, and we're going to pull this loop long. If you want to, you can place a stitch marker or stitch holder onto this so that it all stays together, and you don't have to worry about accidentally yanking on this color while you're working with the white again and unraveling things. You could always place a stitch marker here just for safety's sake, because the next round we are going to work in the white again. Round 3, we are going to return our hook into the color A. Okay, here we go, and get that tightened back up again. And we're going to work in the front of our piece. And from this point forward, everything worked in the white in color A will be worked into color A stitches. Everything worked in color B will be worked into color B stitches. Okay, so at this point, that's where we are in the pattern. So that little piece of knowledge should also help you assure that you're not putting things in the wrong places. We are now going to chain 4, which is going to count as a double crochet and a chain 1. 3, 4. And we are going to double crochet into the same stitch that we joined into. Now we are at the repeat part, which is a chain 2, 1, 2, and then a double crochet, a chain 1, and a double crochet into the next skipped stitch. So the stitch was worked into, we're going into the next skipped stitch, and we're just in front of everything, we're placing a double crochet, a chain 1, and a double crochet. And repeat, chain 2, into the next skipped stitch, we're placing a double crochet, a chain 1, and a double crochet, and we're going to keep going around. Okay, we've worked those chain 2s and then the double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into the skipped stitch all the way around, and now we have to chain 2 more. And we're going to slip stitch into the third chain of the beginning chain. Remember, we started off with chain 4, so we're working into the third chain. We are placing just a slip stitch to join that round, and you can clearly see that the white now is sitting in front of the color. And again, we're going to drop our stitch and keep it in front of the yarn, and along with keeping this loop, we dropped the loop, we pulled it long, and it's staying in front of the square. Along with keeping the loop in the front of the square, you also want to keep the tail in the front of the square. Okay, all of the white yarn should stay in the front of the square. All of the colored yarn should stay in the back of the square. Okay, all of yarn A in the front, all of yarn B in the back. For the next round, we are placing our hook back into color 2, tightening everything up, and chaining 3. Now we're going to double crochet into the same stitch that our join was, which sometimes is a little tight for me. Okay, there we go. And now 2 double crochet into the next double crochet, but this time we're working over top of color A. So here's color A. We're going to work over top of color A and place 2 double crochet into the next double crochet. So go over top of that chain space and into the next double crochet. Place 1, 2 double crochets, and then 2 double crochets into the next stitch. working behind color A this time. 1, 2. Now we're going to chain 1 and place 2 double crochet into the next double crochet, again working behind color A. Now we're going to go over color A and place 2 doubles into the next double. So go over color A, place 2 doubles into this double. 1, 2. And working behind color A, 2 doubles into the next. 1, 2. And then another chain 1. Keep going like that in that manner all the way around. 2 doubles. 1, 2. Then we're going to work over color A, 2 doubles. 1, 2, and behind color A again, 2 doubles. We finished the little repeat section in the pattern, and now we're working 2 doubles again into the next double, working over top of color A. 1, 2, and then 2 doubles into the last double, working behind color A. And then a chain 1 and slip stitch to the top of our first chain 3. Make sure when you do the slip stitch to the top that your color A yarn, the loop and the tail are all in front of your work. Okay, pull this nice and long. If you want to place a stitch marker on this loop so that it doesn't come apart, so it doesn't pull back through when you're working the next round, you can, because the next round you'll be working in the white. Pick up color A, tighten your loop, and now we're going to slip stitch into the first chain 1 space. But when we do that, we're also going to make sure that we're slip stitching, we're catching the chain space behind it. So this little space up at the top here, we just need to get that out of our way, and we need to find the chain 1 space in our color A and the chain 1 space that's right behind it. Okay, that's what we're slip stitching into through both of those. Okay, my loop was a little long still there. Okay, now we are going to chain 9, right? Let me double check. Yes, we're going to chain 9, which counts as a double crochet and a chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now we're going to double crochet into the next chain 1 space. See this chain 1 space here? Okay, and again you're finding the chain space behind it in your other color. So this part here gets kind of pushed to the back, and then you're finding these matching chain spaces and you're double crocheting into that. Caught something with that one. Okay, and now you're going to chain 6 and double crochet into the next chain 1 space 4 more times. 6, okay, we've gotten almost all the way around. We need to chain 6 again. And now we need to join with a slip stitch to the 3rd chain of the beginning chain. Okay, so join with a slip stitch into the 3rd chain of the beginning chain. And that is the end of this round, so that means we need to kind of pull this loop loose. If you're using a stitch marker, switch it onto this loop, pull the loop and the tail to the front of your work so that you can begin the next round with the other color. Put your hook back into your second color. Tighten your loop back up again. And now we are going to slip stitch into the next double crochet. Okay? And chain 3. Now we're going to work over top of this chain space from color A, and we are going to place 2 double crochet into each of the next 2 doubles. So we're going to place 1, working over top of color A, 1, 2 doubles into that double, and then 2 doubles into the next. Now we're going to work behind A and place a double into the next. Now we're going to chain 2. And we're going to skip the next 2 doubles. We're going to skip this double and this double. We're going to place another double crochet into this one. And we're going to repeat. We're going to go from here to here. We're going and do that 5 times. From here to here 5 times. That was once. So let me show you that again for the second time. Work over top of color A. 2 doubles into the next double. 1, 2, and 1, 2. And then a double behind color A into the next double. Then chain 2, skip 2 double crochets and the chain space. Skip 2 of the double crochets and place a double into the next double. And keep going. We've done that section 5 times. Now we're going to work over the chain A space again and place 2 doubles into each of the next 2 doubles. So 1, 2, and 1, 2, and then working behind color A, we're going to place another double. And then chain 2 and join with a slip stitch to the top of our beginning chain 3, maybe. Apparently that chain was a little bit tight. There we go. And as usual, pull up this loop and drop it all to the back so we're ready for the next round. Place color A back on your hook and chain 4, which is going to count as a double crochet, a chain 1, and a double crochet. And now you're going to double crochet into the same stitch that you joined into, but you're going to make sure to catch the chain that's behind it in color 2, in your second color, okay? So you see how I caught that? I went into the same stitch that I joined into, then I also went underneath that chain space from my second color, and I placed that double crochet. Now I'm going to chain 6, and I'm going to double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into the next double crochet made in color A. And when I do that, I'm going to work over top of the chain space for my second color that's behind that double crochet. So double, chain 1, double. And then chain 6 again. Double, chain 1, double into the next double from color A, and make sure to catch the chain space behind it from our second color. Keep going all the way around. We're ready for our last chain 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to slip stitch to the 3rd chain of our beginning chain 4. Okay. All right, that's the end of that round. Now, from this point forward, square number 2 is made the same as square number 1. So, if you click the box that should be right here on your screen with the magic of editing, it will take you to this point in square number 1 in the video. And since it's all the same from this point forward, you can just follow along with that video to complete square number 2. And you will have everything you need to know to do square number 1 and square number 2. So if you haven't done it yet, click that box and I'll see you over there.